The Dauntless. What do you mean where I got it? I bought it, the mother explains, and Modan sighs a bit even as he grabs a small little pastry of something. He's not sure what it's called, but it's on his platter and he's taking a bite. Some kind of berry bun. Of what type, he has no idea. Mildly sweet, but not the store-bought, overly sweet types. Whatever it is, it clearly is meant to be more of an aftertaste or a palate cleanser. I'm asking where you bought it, ma'am. I'm almost entirely certain that nothing of the sort has been sold for the Dauntless, meaning that someone is making some kind of human brand good and not actually consulting humans in things. If things like that get out of hand, then people could be very easily poisoned. Not to mention that it's also illegal. There's a copyright out there and someone selling human goods without paying a license. That's a crime, Modan states, and she just stares at him. Ma'am. No, it was at a local grocery. It was a specialty food on their site. It was ordered without an issue, she says, and Modan frowns. She takes a step back and he flattens his expression. Urthani are a timid species, he reminds himself. It's why their recent changes are not going over so well. Look, I need to know what, She sways on her feet and Modan rushes up and catches her via the shoulder as she loses balance. Ma'am, are you well? He leads her to a chair and her antennae flitter around as she sways. I thought she was acting different, but I thought it was because I'm so different now, Falala says. No, dear, I've been feeling strange, so out of sorts, her mother states, and Modan considers. Her behavior is somewhat frantic and lethargic at the same time, so she's in a defensive state of mind and is not herself. She was also a great deal more aggressive than most reports on Urthani had portrayed them as. He brings out his communicator and quickly presses a quick series of buttons. Hello, this is Quartermaster Maji. I'm here with two Urthani, mother and daughter. The daughter has the more robust internal systems, and the mother is lethargic and acting oddly. There was a short event where the daughter overindulged on an energy drink, hinting that people are selling off brand human merchandise at normal grocery store websites. I suggest that gets looked into. So are you questioning about the Urthani or warning us about this bootleg merchandise? The person on the other end asks. Both, Modan states. All right, give me a moment. All right. There has been a massively shifting phenomenon among the Urthani. It matches up with the older legends and many origin stories among the Nagasha. If these legends are to be believed, then it's not just the young that will change, but there will be a change among the older and more established, according to this script. With the coming of the goddess, change and strength emerged as we basked in her power. First the young, newly hatched, and the daughters still in their eggs. But after only a few short moments, their mothers cast aside the skins of old and emerged as mightier beings. Even those who had seemed unchanged after the great shedding held a deeper strength within them. So, that might be what's happening. Oh, well, good luck, the man states, and the line goes dead. Modan pockets the device and runs a hand through his hair. All right, so I think I have a good idea about why you're feeling out of sorts, ma'am, Modan states and gets a hard look from Falala. What's wrong with her? What's going on? She demands. This sort of thing has been observed before, granted a very long time ago. So long ago, it's faded into scripture and legend. Are you like implying the Nagasha? Eve asks him. He totally is, Mara returns. I am. According to what a researcher on the Dauntless was able to quickly look up, this sort of thing happened long ago with the Nagasha. First it was in the children and newborns and those who were freshly hatching. But not long afterwards, their parents changed as well. What it means, I'm not sure. I personally don't believe in all the hype around primal Nagasha, and I don't think there is a primal Urthani. But there is a previous pattern. So you're saying that my mother is about to change? I think she is changing. There's a process that growing insects use that is very different from pupating in a cocoon. If she's about to use it, then I suggest you drive her home and make sure she has plenty to eat. It's not going to be pretty, but it will help. What is happening to me? I feel packed in and tight in my skin. Everything is tiring and I'm ravenous, the mother says, and Modan sighs. That matches up. You feel packed in and tight in your skin because you are. You have a flexible but strong exoskeleton. You're about to molt, I think. Molt? Yes, I suggest you be home for it, Modan states. Home? I need to go to the hospital, or Thani don't molt, she half shouts. Calm down, ma'am. I'm not a medical professional. It's mostly a theory based on... I don't care if it's a theory based on the dance of the stars. What you're saying is... Crack. Her eyes bulge. Modan's eyebrows go up and Falala, as well as the rest of the cafe, gasp in horror at the sight of the woman's head starting to split. And the overexertion of the panic finishes things off. He notes before examining the area with his senses as hard as they can go. He has to have somehow adjusted his own probability waveform to lure in this much weird drama in this short a time. He can't find it in the fraction of a second he gives himself for self-indulgence, and then he's moving. Ma'am, please calm down. A molting in nature is not a cause for alarm, but it is cause for caution. So we're going to be calm, reasoned, and methodical to help you through this. Are you willing to work with me, ma'am? He asks in a calmed and reasoned tone. The tone is very important. Unlike Falala, who was chemically stimulated earlier and unable to properly calm down, her mother is not under the effects of whatever brand horror show Falala had downed. Valiana! She exclaims as she tries to breathe to the best of her ability, and it causes a series of further cracks. He can feel her body pulling on the axiom to expedite this. It looks like what's traditionally about a half hour's fun in nature is going to wrap up in maybe 3 minutes here, which won't do much for keeping calm if the pedal's to the metal, but he can adapt. Valiana, then, what you need to know is to just make sure you keep breathing. All right, strong and measured. You are not water-based, so when you molt, you won't need to absorb a huge amount of seawater, but what you will need to do is get some wind on your fur and shell. My claws, they feel wrong. There is a claw variant to the Urthani now. If that is what you are becoming, then that is what you are becoming. It is nothing to fear. But my daughter, this, Valiana says as she starts trying to wring her claws together, and there is a sudden crack as the exterior of her left pointer claw outright shatters, revealing another claw beneath with a strange pattern on it. The pull of the axiom increases, and the claw grows larger and more jagged in front of everyone. There are further cracks as she works at her hand claws, and quickly, all 6 of the large spears are considerably larger and more deadly than before. Wow, why couldn't I get the really big claws? Falala demands. Because you've got the iron guts instead, Modan says, as he sweeps the shards on the table into a small pile for easier disposal. Help her to the bathroom so she can have some privacy. She's going to molt all over, and that means she needs to get cast-off carapace beyond her clothing. Right, that's very right. Come on, Mom, let's get you to the bathroom, Falala says, and takes her mother's claws in her own and lead her away. Oh, cool. Now your claws lock together for a punch or grip in harder. That's so cool. As Valiana is led away, she leaves a trail of tiny pieces of shed claw as she walks, as her foot claws grow more and more to match the hand claws. Well, that's certainly a thing that happened. Modan notes even as he uses axiom to sweep all the cast-off bits into a pile in his hands. Where's the nearest garbage can? Here, Teresa 86 says as she holds out a bag for him. That's like totally unique. But wait, wouldn't saying like totally contradict each other on the Gravia speech patterns? like is used as a shorthand for similar but inaccurate, and totally means even more so. Wouldn't they cancel each other out? I suggest you spend more time with Gravia to figure it out, Teresa 86 says with a sly smile. We can handle that, Mara states. Totally, Eve contributes. But wow, a whole species is like changing in front of the whole galaxy. Does anything like this happen in cruel space? May asks. Molting? Yes, insects, arachnids, and arthropods molt like this lot. But an entire species flash evolving and creating branching paths? No, it doesn't happen, Modan says. And there's a gasping sound in the bathroom, and while he's really tempted to stretch his senses in that direction, he doesn't. He does have some sense of propriety and appropriateness. So, Modan begins. So, you girls have seen him flustered, you've seen him calm, and you've seen him react to the unexpected twice. Are you sure you want in? Jadza asks. You made the sale this morning. You totally don't have to keep pitching, May says with a fond smile, and Modan just sort of looks away. He'd gotten caught up in the whatever their family name is, in the drama of Falala and her mother Valiana, adjusting to a sudden shift in everything they had ever expected or known. Falala's getting a massive personality overhaul and is going to look at what she once thought was poison for food. Valiana's every movement is going to have to be regulated and guarded in order to stop her from hurting people or breaking things. He'd gotten so caught up in the drama between mother and daughter and the sheer madness that was their species shifting around them that he'd almost forgotten he was on a date. We're not the only ones you've totally charmed, Eve states. You're all wearing wires. I know, he says. It's just part of the job, darling, Jadza tells him. I know. I'm getting involved with half of a... He trails off and looks to Teresa 86, who pulls out a small sign that reads, I have suddenly developed an acute and temporary case of deafness. Please pardon me, and places it on the counter. Agency. Don't trust the sign, Jadza asks in a highly amused tone. It's rather easy to lie in sign language, he says easily, and makes a point to not smirk at the awful pun he just made. Boo! Boo! Teresa 86 jeers from the kitchen, both proving his point and mocking the pun. See? Modan asks, and the bathroom door suddenly bangs open. Can I get a second pair of hands in here? This is getting awkward, Falala asks, and Jadza starts moving. She's the field agent. She's much more ready to jump into action. Turn the fan on. Get some airflow in there to help. Modan calls after her, and although she doesn't respond, the telltale sound of a fan quickly starts up. So, Eve begins, and there's a loud cracking and snapping sound and several exclamations of surprise. Is everything all right in there? Modan calls to the bathroom. Wings gave us a surprise, Jadza calls back. How do you not know? It's pretty easy to sense what's going on, May asks him. I've dulled my senses. It's very, very inappropriate to peek into a bathroom, and using axiom to peek is still peeking, Modan says before the door slams open again. It's Falala with a huge smile on her face. Announcing my mom, better than ever. She calls out to the cafe before sliding to the side as Valiana slips out. Her claws are larger and with small shifts in the pattern to allow them to lock together with ease. These sharp angles would also rip through flesh with ease and hook in without an issue. Furthermore, the sheen and pattern suggest that there's something reinforcing them. She's also about 2 inches taller and bigger all around, as if she suddenly put on at least 20 healthy pounds. Incidentally, where was that garbage again? There's a fair amount of castaway here, Jadza mutters. No, not that. We'll keep it as a souvenir. It's so neat, Falala says. What? No, that's disgusting, Valiana protests. But Mom, in a couple generations no one will have them anymore, which means that someday it's going to be rare, meaning valuable. Oh, thinking of what happened to the claw cast-offs. I want those too. Falala, do not collect bits of my molting, the mortified Valiana protests. But Mom, no buts, no.